Good afternoon. My topic is basically outlining some of the concerns related to access to medicine. In that context, how much AI promises to enhance access to medicines, or what are the concerns around access in the light of AI. So that's what I am going to discuss in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Next slide, please. So as a background, before looking at access to medicine in the context of AI, what's the current state of play related to access to medicine? So all of us knows, like from our context, I mean the developing country context, medicines or pharmaceutical products is an important component for facilitating affordable healthcare, especially the mode of payment in our healthcare settings or our health system settings is out-of-pocket expenditure, and often medicines, diagnostics, and other consumables constitute around 55%, roughly 55% of our any healthcare bills or hospital bills. In the case of India, it is supposed to be the world's pharmacy. Only 13.8% of the rural population is able to access free medicines. When it comes to urban areas, it is around 14.4% people get free medicines. That means the vast majority of the people have to spend from their savings to buy medicines. Therefore, to ensure or to facilitate the affordable availability of medicines are very important. Otherwise, the healthcare bill, will be beyond the reach of the population. So that's also a reality right now. Many new medicines are not people are not able to access, especially when it comes to non-communicable disease like cancer. And that is one of the main reason for indebtedness in the subcontinent. I think that's a case even in Nepal. And there are disease conditions where medicines are not available because there are not enough research and development investment in that area. So when it comes to the access to medicines, especially the new medicines, we confront two issues. One is that the new medicines are very expensive, and second, there are situations like neglected tropical disease or rare diseases. There are no medicines because investment are not happening there. Investment are happening only on those medicines which are relevant in the context of market where the people or the government can pay very high price. Only on those areas the R&D investments are happening. Next slide, please. So against this background, we look at the reason for the lack of availability and affordability. We will be able to locate these in these, the way in which the global pharmaceutical industry is structured. Though innovations are happening in the small settings or the startups or the small companies, but these companies are not in a position to bring the product to the market. It's only a handful of multinational corporations can bring these medicines into the market. So we do have, examples like even in the case of COVID, though it was developed by BioNTech, end of the day, the product has come from, they have to have an arrangement with Pfizer. Similarly, in the case of Oxford vaccine, though it was developed in a publicly funded project and by a university, still it has to engage in a partnership with AstraZeneca to produce the medicine and bring it to the market. So in a way, you can say that geographically also there is a concentration of drug development in the developed countries, and developing countries are still gain the capability to develop a new medicine and bring it to the market at a global level. So therefore, this is a very highly concentrated market, and on top of it, what is always happening also that there is a lack of purchasing power in developing countries. As a result, many times when it comes to the new drugs, the companies will invest in those drugs which have the market in high income countries or developed countries. It's also a fact we need to note at this moment. A few developing countries do possess the ability to bring the generic version of the pharmaceutical products, especially the small molecules, but they do not have the capability at this moment due to various reasons. Many times it may not be the technological capability, but even the financial capability to manage a clinical trial at global level and bring the product, get it approved from like stringent regulatory authorities like US FDA or European Medicine Agency. So there is an option to produce a generic, affordable generic version of any new products. But here, the generic availability is restricted due to the intellectual properties regime, which is basically insists that all countries except the least developed countries should have a product patent protection for pharmaceuticals. As a result, the generic versions cannot come out during the patent protection or period or patent exclusivity period. Similarly, there are regulatory system which are in a way favoring the big companies. The small companies are not in a position to bring out. I'll just flag the issue of biosimilars. So let us move to the next slide. So now let's look at how the global system, IP system, mainly the TRIPS agreement, blocks the access. As I told you, the TRIPS agreement basically insists all the WTO member states to have a product patent protection. As a result, the generic availability has to be delayed till the end of product expiry of the patent exclusivity period. That is basically 20 years from the date of invention. So this is resulting in a kind of a discrimination when it comes to access. It is always determined where you are living. And it's also resulting in denial of enjoyment of right to health and right to science. Right to science basically means everybody has a right to enjoy the benefit of science and its progress of science and its application. But as a result of the patent protection, though there is a medicine, you won't be in a position to access that medicine at an affordable cost. As a result, your right to health is denied, your right to access the progress of science and its application also being denied. Next slide, please. So there are some examples, like these are like ribociclib and abemaciclib are very good medicines when it comes to treating a particular type of breast cancer at the early stages. So there is also a clip called palbociclib, but that is used for the later stage, metastatic stage. So early stage treatment is always much more beneficial for the patient, and it enhances the life longevity. But these medicines are Indian prices. I think it will be with a few $1,000 difference. Same in Nepal too, 64,000 per month. Other drug is 48,000 per month. So these are beyond the reach of the majority of the women who are having breast cancer. And now let's look at another rare disease product, Risdiplam. This is a life-saving medicine for the SMA people, spinal muscular atrophy patients. But the price is 7.2 million per year, and you have to take it every day. Who can afford this? Similarly, there is a Trikafta. It is another rare disease called cystic fibrosis. Its price is $320,000 per year. That's dollars. So the list goes on. So what I am trying to say is that patent is already, all these medicines can be produced. These are small molecules. These can be produced at much an affordable price through the generic production. But manufacturers in India are not in a position to do so because of the patent protection. So when it comes to risdiplam, there was an expert submission to the court on one of the ongoing litigation in India. The expert from the Yale University calculated the cost of production of risdiplam and concluded that with rupees 3,024 rupees, a person can be treated for a year. So that's the 3,024 rupees. That's the cost, including 20% markup for the producer. So, but it is been sold at $7.2 million. So, as a result of the patent protection, access has been compromised. These are the examples where the new and efficacious medicines are there in the market, but people are not in a position to access. Next slide, please. So, what is the justification for the patent? Justification for the patent is basically, there could be many justifications like labor theory and everything, but I'm not getting into that. But most convincing justification is that it's a mechanism to allow to recoup the R&D investment by giving you a monopoly. So, therefore, no one else is allowed to produce the same product. So, or nobody is allowed to free ride on your innovation. So, you get enough years of exclusivity wherein which you can recoup the your R&D investment. But when it comes to recouping of investment, it is taken too far by saying that recoupment of the R&D investment in the failed project, recoupment for the present project, and also recoupment for the future project. So this is the justification provided for the, very high prices or exorbitant prices for those medicines which I showed you earlier. So this is the justification. It takes a lot of time and resources to bring a medicine into the market, and therefore there should be an exclusivity period to recoup the profit. Next slide, please. So now let's look at how AI is transforming the pharmaceutical industry. AI is applicable in every stage of the pharmaceutical industry, starting from the basic research, drug discovery, preclinical, clinical trials, post-marketing, including the manufacturing and the quality control, etc. So I'm not getting into the various AI-related challenges because the list goes on. There are ethical concerns, there are economic concerns, and there are concerns related to the kind of who can use these technologies, etc. But I am not getting into those things. So let's move to the next slide, and I will be focusing much on how the AI is going to have promise of AI to bring the drug much early at a lesser time and at a lesser financial resources. Next slide, please. So as expectation is that it will save time, the financial resources in drug development, and there are promises of personalized medicines. Everything has its own pros and cons, but let's focus on the time and financial resource saving. We all know that AI can easily be used for the drug discovery at various stages of drug discovery or drug development, especially for identifying the targets and identifying the screening of the chemical molecules much more easily, and also when identifying the clinical trial population and designing the clinical trials and carrying out so at various stages. So basically, it's all the idea is that it will save time and it will save the financial resources. And the prediction is that it will increase. Now they say that, okay, only one drug which enters, if 10 drug enters into the phase 3 trial, only one may get the marketing approval. So they are saying that there would be 20 to 50% of increase in that number. But now the question is that whether the pharmaceutical companies are ready to pass on this savings there in terms of time and financial resources to the consumer. Next slide, please. Whether it will be passed on to the consumers. Looking at the historical experience, we don't expect that will happen automatically. Without the intervention of the governments or without the intervention of law, it is unlikely to happen. And another important question to be asked here also that will there be addition of neglected disease? This is primarily because the whole data will gives you what is which medicine has market and what to be marketed, and that's the way there might be a skewing of R&D investment to those areas where high profitability is there. So that means there would be less investment in those areas which are not that much profitable. That means more diseases will be considered as neglected diseases, especially those diseases affecting the populations in the developing countries. Similarly, and most important question here to be asked is that is the patent system relevant in the AI age? As I explained earlier, the justification for profit. Justification for patent exclusivity is the recouping of the profit. If you can develop a medicine at a lesser cost, then do you need this long period for of 20 years of market exclusivity? So that's one important question. And another important issue is that will there be a misuse of the patent system using AI? Because now, as of now, the patent system works. Companies has a tendency to obtain multiple patent on this same molecule, known as evergreening or secondary patenting, to create a fence around or a thicket around the molecule. So now through the AI, you can develop as much as potential structure of the same molecule and obtain a patent protection. Or in a way, you can say that AI-generated inventions can be done and patented. That means more patents. That means more concentration and more monopoly is coming into the market, and that will delay the generic entry. So that can create a problem. But AI also offers the possibility that you can develop the same molecule with a different structure, or you can have a different, you can develop a different structure and obtain the same therapeutic efficacy. There is a possibility, but that can be neutralized through patenting all the potential structures. So therefore, there is a possibility of misusing the patent system. So it's all putting together will lead to there is a danger of further concentration in the pharmaceutical industry. Especially the data, who controls the data? There are examples, there are fears have come out where some of the data companies were taken over by big multinational companies and invested in that companies and entered into exclusive agreements, where basically denying the access of that data by other competitors. So these are the issues which are coming up. Next slide, please. So if against the background of these concerns, how will we look and move forward to facilitate an equitable access? The fundamental issues to be resolved is that how do we govern data? We all know that we do have three, as Antad put it, there are three broad models: the Chinese model, the US model, and the European model. So no model is perfect. One is on the Chinese model by and large on the government, and the US is allowing the private sector a major role, and European model is by and large on the individual rights. But all these models are not the perfect one. It has its own pros and cons, and it does not basically address these issues like from a developing country perspective, the access to the technology, the need for the development, and also areas like health, where when we look at health as a public good, then these models have its own problems. So therefore, there is a need for a new conceptualization of data. But at the same time, the problem is that it is easy to say that okay, all data is public good, but the consequence also to be taken into account, because once it is public good, everybody can take and use it, fine. But the moment it is used, the outcome of the use of that data, it will, in the absence of any new intervention, it will be monopolized through using various types of intellectual property rights, like trade secrets, trade secret or patents, etc., etc. So therefore, we need to reconceptualize the data. We need a new approach to the data. To that extent, I would say that it's important to consider access and benefit sharing models in the context of data. Data is, end of the day, data is, of course, it is individual, but the community also on the data, and the state should be kind of an act like a custodian of the data to the extent possible, fully respecting the human rights. And because the data there are possibilities of using it for the public good, but at the same time, we need to ensure that it should not be only a one-way traffic. The benefits of the outcome needs to be shared with the community and the countries which provide the data. So therefore, there is a role for, sorry for the typo, there is a role for the community and state in the data governance, and we need to look at it. Otherwise, if an business as usual approach may continue, that may lead to further concentration and further inequity when it comes to access to health products. Let me stop it here. Thank you.